Hey everyone, and welcome to Lachlan Likes a Thing, the show where I take a thing and see whether or not I like it. Now the thing we're looking at in this video is the Fostex T40RP Mk.3 studio monitoring planar magnetic headphones. Professional. So this is going to be a first impressions video. So I've only had these for a few days, so we're not going to be going into a full review. In this video, I'm going to try and answer basically two questions. Number one, why did I go for the T40RP Mk.3 over the T50RP Mk.3? And number two, do I think that swapping out the earpads on the T40RP Mk.3 with, say, the Shure SRH1540 earpads or any other kind of earpad, do I think that's a good idea? By the way, I just wanted to introduce my new co-host. She's going to be doing the really important job of holding headphones while I talk, so I'm freed up to make more obnoxious hand gestures. I haven't given her a name yet. I am open to suggestions in the comments. I'm not going to go with Hetty McHeadface. Please be nice to her. She has sustained some, major head trauma in the past. I rescued her from the collapse of the national electronics chain Dick Smith here in Australia. But please make her feel at home. So the first question is, why did I go for the Fostex T40RP Mk.3? If we can just get the autofocus working. No, it's not working. Ooh, good job, Sony. Just to give you a breakdown, there are three new Fostex T series headphones. There's the Fostex T20, T40, and the T50. Now, what Tile over at Inner Fidelity found was that basically the headphones appear to be more or less the same. The only real difference is that there is a kind of vent here at the back of the headphone, if the autofocus is cooperating. There we go. On the T20, that vent is basically open. On the T40, that's closed, as you can see. On the T50, there's semi-permeable tape, so it's semi-open. Now, I spent a 2-hour listening session with all three of the Fostex T series units. I can tell you right off the bat, I did not like the T20. I found the bass really kind of flabby, uncontrolled. It was just kind of loose, so I didn't like the open variation at all. I think it's with the T40 and the T50 where the magic lies. They are both brilliant sounding headphones, honestly. They cost 249 Australian dollars here, and I think they sound at least like a $249 headphone. I think they sound better, much better than your average $249 headphone. I actually think that they're headphones that don't require modification to sound good. So with both the T40 and the T50, they are great sounding headphones. They have a real sense of clarity and precision and speed that you would expect from the kind of planar magnetic driver. So everything is very precise and fast. Particularly for things like pianos and female vocals, they sound really good. Unlike the old T50RP Mk.2, they don't have that sloppy rolled off bass tone. They don't have a lot of bass, they both still roll off in the low end, but they don't have that sort of gummy looseness that the T50RP Mk.2 had in stock configuration. And they also have a much more elevated kind of treble section. So there's more clarity, there's more detail there. And again, they don't sound kind of blunted or rolled off or compromised like the original Mk.2 version did. The difference that I found after listening for 2 hours to both headphones is that the T50RP Mk.3 is the more vibrant sounding of the two. It has a big kind of treble spike somewhere in the upper mids or the lower treble. It's got a kind of sizzle sound to it. It emphasizes the S notes, so particularly in female vocals, you can hear that breathiness. I think that sort of emphasis for jazz, instrumental music, classical music, it sounds really good because you get this open sense of space and clarity and real detail. However, with some sorts of instruments, particularly synthesizers in modern electronic music and a lot of modern day studio recordings where things are mastered just a bit more hot, I found that the T50RP had, I think, too much treble. It was too aggressive. It had this kind of hard edge to it that made everything sound sort of fatiguing. And so over the course of 2 hours of listening, I thought this is not going to be something that I'm going to enjoy for longer listening. Now, in comparison, the T40RP Mk.3 is the closed variation, and it sounds more closed than the T50. It definitely sounds more compressed. The soundstage is sort of more intimate. Things feel closer. It doesn't have that sense of air, and that's basically because the treble, which is on the T50RP Mk.3, that treble spike has been brought down on the T40RP. Now, it's still there. You still get that really nice sense of clarity in vocals, but there's more of a kind of cupped hands effect on voices. At the same time, it's also, blunted, so it's not fatiguing. And I think for longer listening periods, it's actually much more easy to listen to. And also, because the treble is blunted, the proportion of treble to bass means that on the T40RP, bass is perceptually, I don't know if it's actually more extended or deeper or anything like that, but it seems like there's more bass on the T40 just because you can turn up the volume a little more without the treble sort of irritating your ears. So while I thought the T50RP Mk.3 is more special sounding, I think the T40RP Mk.3 sounds more like an all-rounder. So let's start with the Shure SRH1540 earpad swap on the T40 and the T50. Now, I tried this earpad swap on 3 separate occasions because it was recommended to me by a friend. I can tell you honestly, I'm a bit puzzled by this suggestion because yes, it gets more comfortable once you put the 1540 pads on. Your ears aren't touching the inside of the felt anymore. But what happens when you put the 1540 pads on is that the bass starts to get really loose and flabby and bloated. It basically pushes up the mid bass, and the treble gets a little recessed. And I think that, I don't know if it's whether to do with the inner felt or with the increased inner air volume of the earpad changing the damping or anything like that. All I can say is that I didn't really enjoy the sound of the Fostex T50 with the 1540 earpads, and it's a very, very similar story basically with the 840 earpads. I think they both sound kind of murky with the T50 and the T40. Honestly, if you wanted the T50 to sound more bassy and you wanted the treble to be shaved off a little, then I just get the T40 because then you wouldn't need to spend extra money on the earpads. The next set of earpads I tried were these Danon earpads. I think they're either from the D2000 or the D5000. I'm not sure. I bought them some time ago. They are angled pads, which is nice, and you'll see that they're missing that inner foam. So they're almost as shallow as the original stock pads. Now, I had high hopes for this earpad on the T40. What I found though was that, and again, I'm not sure exactly why, but with this sound, the treble kind of gets more diffused, it gets more recessed with this earpad, and there's this sort of plasticky sound to it that I didn't really quite like. So I personally don't think that that's a great candidate either. Now, the last set of earpads that I tried were a bit of a surprise. This is the stock T50RP Mk.2 earpads. And as you can see, they're basically the same as the Mk.3 earpads, except that the felt, the inner felt is missing. So I think these are basically equivalent to cutting out the inner felt on the stock earpads for the Mk.3. Now, I actually liked these earpads the most. With the inner felt removed, it brings up the treble on the T40. So I don't think it comes quite as close to the T50 in terms of treble, but it sort of halves the difference between the two. And it really doesn't change the sound too much besides doing that. Now, I'm still a bit divided about whether I prefer the sound with these earpads or the stock T40RP Mk.3 earpads, because the stock sound on the T40RP Mk.3 is very smooth. It's quite intimate and nice. The one benefit of this particular earpad swap is that it makes the T40 more comfortable, because with the inner felt missing, your ears aren't touching that felt anymore. It's just a bit less stuffy. It's more comfortable for extended listening periods. Anyway, I hope that answers the two most immediate questions that I could think of. I went for the T40 again because it's more of an all-rounder, better for kind of extended listening periods. And I think that the stock sound is actually quite good on the T40. So I don't necessarily believe that an earpad swap is the way to go. I'm sure we're going to be able to get really exciting things going with other kinds of more extreme modifications, but out of the box, I think these stock earpads are pretty good. If you have a pair of the T40RP Mk.3s, I would love to hear in the comments why you decided to go for the T40 over the T50. I know that there has been some sales on the T40, so I think at a lower price than I paid would make it a bargain, basically. Now, the next week video, I kind of have two options, so I'd love to hear which one you would prefer in the comments. I can either talk about some of my current favorite music tracks that I like to test headphones on, share some of that, or next week I can talk about how I got my identity stolen at the end of last year. So that's kind of probably the more interesting topic, but I'll leave it to you. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. And happy listening.